this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Razer DeathAdder V3 Pro. This is an upgrade to the DeathAdder lineup, which, like the Viper V2 Pro, has been improved in a number of different ways. They've changed the ergonomics, they've dropped the weight, and they've improved the specs. So this now includes a 30,000 dpi optical center, 70 Gs acceleration, 750 IPS, optical Mark III switches that are guaranteed up to 90 million clicks, 90 hours of battery life, and more. But this mouse has 5 buttons versus the 8 on the previous DeathAdder V2 Pro, and a number of other things that make it interesting. It works with Razer's hyperpolling dongle, for example, but more on that later on. You'll notice included in the box is grip tape, and that's because Razer has dropped the grip tape from the original DeathAdder V2 Pro that you can see here. That mouse, as you'll see from these shots, is also different in a number of other ways. It has more flared edges than the new V3 Pro, and the reasons for that is that Razer has worked to enhance the ergonomics of this mouse. A number of things have changed from the V2 Pro to the V3 Pro, including a raised body. They've changed the positioning of those left side buttons, for example, and they've stopped this sort of flaring at the edges of the left and right mouse buttons to make it more comfortable in the hand. And that's an interesting number of changes that aren't perhaps immediately obvious. They're quite subtle, but they also result in a much more comfortable experience. So the DeathAdder still has that sort of angry Razer look to it, but it's not as pointy in various places. It also has Usbc connectivity, but as you will have noticed from the underside, there's no charging pins and there's no dock for the dongle anymore. You do obviously still get this extender, so you can put a dongle close to the mouse if you need to, although I found that the signal was good enough that I didn't have to do this. And obviously that gives you up to 1000 Hz polling rate as well, over 2.4 gigahertz, and you have the ability to use hypershift as well on the mouse, and a bit more on that later on. So a number of enhancements, but things have been removed, so like the V2 Pro of the Viper, that some people might take issue with it. However, what you'll see is that it has shed some weight. Mine weighs in at 64 grams, and you do have buttons, including a DPI switching button, which is on the underside. And I'll be honest, I hate it being on the underside. I prefer mine on top. But if you don't mind that, you can flip the mouse over and switch DPI through various different profiles. It's a much more comfortable mouse to use, in my opinion. The body feels nicer in the hand. It sort of pushes up into the palm, and it's a nice size. It's meant to be a middle-sized mouse, basically, mid to large sort of size, and that is the fit that I've found as well. You'll notice a little light on the front which lets you know about charge basically, and will flash when you're running low, so that's pretty handy. And these side buttons are positioned a little bit higher up the mouse now than they were before, and they're nice and easy to access. They jut out just the right amount for my hand. I found them comfortable to use because of it. I'll leave a sound test at the end so you can hear those optical switches, but as I said, it includes these Razer's V3 optical switches, so you have a nice response from them and good action on them, and obviously well-tracked actuation to make sure that your clicks are registered as they should be. And you can upgrade it and enhance it with the hyperpolling dongle as well. The mouse wheel is also satisfying. It gives some feedback, but it's not overly loud, in my opinion. It's worth noting quickly something about the weight. You'll have seen that it was 64 grams for the white one. Actually, the 63 version is the black one, apparently. That is the difference. The black one's lighter. So as a mild curiosity, if weight is what you're about, then go for the black one. Obviously, you have the grip tape included now, so this is optional, where on the previous version, the grip tape was pre-installed. They've shed this in favor of the weight, so now you have to stick it on yourself, which, if you're like me and a bit clumsy, you might end up putting some of them not in perfect positions. As you can see, some of it was a bit wonky, so I had to take one off and put it back on again. But it's pretty good quality, and actually I've found overuse and gaming periods and working and whatever else, this hasn't got greasy or oily or problematic. I will note that I don't think it's 100% necessary though. The mouse is pretty grippy anyway. I haven't had any problems with it slipping around, and I think that's worth keeping in mind, but it will vary obviously according to your personal preference. I'd recommend trying it out and see what you think before you apply the grip tape. However, it does make it feel quite a bit different, and obviously also changes the weight of it, although only a little bit. You can see that it goes from 64 to 66 grams, so there's not that much difference in it if you do want to throw the grip tape in, and it does make it look quite a bit angrier and perhaps more snake-like. Maybe that's what you want from your Razer mouse with a name like this. Now, when I took it out of the box, I was immediately struck by some of the similarities, once again, to Logitech mice. So obviously quite similar, although a bit bigger than the Superlight from Logitech, and I will be doing a video to compare these two. But if you see the two side by side, you'll notice some differences. The Logitech mouse has a lot more PTFE areas, and obviously uses micro USB. What the other thing you'll notice is obviously the side buttons on the Razer mouse are a lot larger, and also you can see that it sits quite a bit higher than the Superlight, and that's a good thing in my opinion. A bit more comfortable, easier to use, a bit more friendly on the ergonomics. If you have a larger hand, you'll probably find that the DeathAdder's a bit more suitable and more comfortable and easier to game with, but they're very similar in weight and sort of the specs and things like that, although obviously Razer has the advantage because it has those optical switches. It has been a great experience to use as well, and it's nice slick feet on the underside, so despite not having quite as much in terms of PTFE on the underside versus the Superlight, for example, still had no problems flicking it around the desk and using it with ease. It responds really well to gaming, and obviously actuates really nicely. I haven't had any issues with it being too noisy or uncomfortable, and I do like the fact that they've changed the sort of design of the front of the mouse. So the left and right buttons have a nice sort of dip in them where your fingers will sit into it. The ergonomics are quite pleasantly thought out. There's a slope on the inside where your thumb can sit in nicely, and then obviously you still have access to those side buttons really easily. The less angry angles mean it's more comfortable to hold, in my opinion, and a much nicer experience there. And obviously from multiple angles it also looks really nice, even with a grip tape. I think that's a nice addition to it. Quite possibly the changes of this mouse that you won't notice are the ones that are most significant. Under the hood, obviously the optical sensor upgrade, the optical switch upgrade, and other things. It has improved battery life, claiming up to 90 hours, and with no RGB lighting, that means you can keep going and going and going with it. And I certainly found I didn't have to plug it in very often during use, which is obviously a benefit, but it also responds really well. I found it really smooth and easy to use during gaming sessions. One thing is that it won't obviously make you pro, even though Razer worked with esports pros in the development of this mouse. It won't make you get good. I'm not particularly good at gaming, but I have found that it has been pleasant and easy to get on with. I haven't had any problems with it really. I haven't really got any complaints about the layout of the buttons or the fit in the hand or anything like that, and it gives you a good response, and what more could you want? Now obviously some significant changes versus the V2 Pro. The lack of charging dock ports and other things might be a problem if you've got the little dock that you want to put the mouse on to give it a charge, and it is a shame to not have that. And there are other things, for example, there's no Bluetooth connectivity anymore, and also obviously using the DPI button on the underside. These are small sacrifices though, so if you're into a mouse that doesn't have loads of buttons but still has plenty on offer, then this might well be it. As I noted earlier on, you also have the option to purchase the hyperpolling dongle. So this is an upgrade. I did a video on this alongside the Viper V2 Pro. So this dongle also works with the DeathAdder the V3 Pro, and it basically upgrades the capabilities of this mouse when in wireless mode. This is a small dongle, which is an additional purchase, so it is an extra cost. But basically what it does is it takes the polling rate from 1000 Hertz over wireless up to 4000. So if you have a fast refresh rate monitor and you're really serious about getting the best action out of your mouse while gaming on competitive games, then this might be worth considering as an upgrade. It basically replaces the standard 2.4 gigahertz dongle. You plug it into the USB-C cable, plug that into your PC, and then you have a faster response and a higher polling rate from it. So it potentially makes you a better gamer, maybe. Again, that depends on your prowess in games, but it's an option to upgrade it, and that's obviously a nice addition. It's already upgraded versus the V2 with a number of spec enhancements, but the polling rate now can be whacked up as well if you buy this, so that's an extra cost. I'll leave all the links in the description to find out more about that. So all told, the DeathAdder V3 Pro is a great mouse, to be honest. It's been a joy to use and a fantastic bit of kit. A good intelligent upgrade, although shedding some points. And will it be enough to topple the Superlight? You'll have to stick around and find out. Stick around now for a sound test and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.